Hello everybody, I am back with another video today. Today's video is not going to be from baking yesteryear. I am kind of hitting pause on that for this week. Um, so our next recipe in baking yesteryear is the Dutch apple cake, which I am super excited to try. Apple is one of my favorite flavors and was really looking forward to making that this week. And then I found a great deal on some whipping cream that I really needed to use, just so it wasn't going to waste after I bought it. So we're going to be doing something a little bit different this week, a different cookbook. Um, it's still going to be a dessert. It's a pie and everything. It's just, I just needed to use this up so it wasn't going to waste after I bought it. But I am super excited to try this recipe today because it is one of my other favorite flavors. It is a peanut butter pie. Um, Today we are baking out of the Waitress Cookbook, sugar, butter, flour. Um, it's based off of the movie Waitress, which was out almost 20 years ago now. Hard to believe. It was out in 2007, starring, oh my God, what is, um, Carrie Russell. Sorry, I just completely blanked on who was in this movie there for a minute. Carrie Russell and Andy Griffith had a small part in it. Carrie Russell plays a waitress at this pie diner. Andy Griffith is the owner, and some things happen and everything. And it is a pretty good movie. Um, Kind of like a romantic comedy with some like drama in it as well. Kind of one of the few movies in that genre that I do enjoy watching. I'm not too big on the whole romantic comedy thing. I tend to gravitate more towards mystery and horror movies, thrillers, stuff like that. Um, but every once in a while, I do enjoy a good romantic comedy, and this is one of them. The movie had always made me want to make pie after I made it because in the movie she makes all these different kind of crazy pies with like flavors that you wouldn't think would go together but do go together, and they always look amazing in the movie. Um, so definitely one of those movies that has inspired me to bake and cook and all of that good stuff. When I found out there was a cookbook based off of the movie, I really wanted it and everything. And I've made a few recipes out of that cookbook, but not a ton. Um, just because some of the pies in there do get really detailed and everything. But the few I have tried have turned out pretty good. There was a jerk chicken pie that was really good. And then I did make a coffee pie that I actually made twice because it was really good. And first time I kind of had some issues making it and did want to try it again. But anyway, um, kind of a little side note. Thank you for listening to my little tangent here. Anyway, today we are making the Thanks for Taking Me to the Moon peanut butter moon pie pie. Um, so it sounds really good. Um, Looks pretty easy to make. It does use quite a bit of ingredients. Well, I guess not quite a lot, but it's a little bit more of a detailed pie than some of the other pies that I've made before. Definitely a more detailed pie, peanut butter pie, than the peanut butter pie I made a couple months ago. Um, I have not tried this recipe at all, so I am really looking forward to getting into this and giving this a try. I do love peanut butter pie. Um, it is definitely one of my favorite flavors for pie. I love anything with peanut butter. Um, let's get started. All right, so we've got some graham cracker crumbs and some butter here. I am actually going to be making my own graham cracker crust, with this pie today instead of buying the store-bought one like I normally do. I just was not sure if this would all fit into a store-bought graham cracker crust, so I am going to be making this in my deep dish pie pan just so I know that there is going to be enough room for like everything. But that is what we need, what we're going to be using for the crust. So it is your basic graham cracker crust. The filling, we've got some powdered sugar, cream cheese, peanut butter, whipping cream, and then we'll be using some vanilla in that. And then we are going to be making a marshmallow whipped cream to put on top, which uses some more whipping cream, some powdered sugar, and then some marshmallow fluff. And then we are going to be using some moon pies for garnish. The recipe did call for mini moon pies. I didn't have any mini moon pies, but I did have a box of the regular sized one, so I am just going to use that and probably cut that into smaller pieces for the garnish. Um, so let's get started with the pie crust first. All right, so for the graham cracker crust, I melted down the butter. I am going to add that to the graham cracker crumbs, and we're going to kind of get this mixed together, get that nice and soft, and I am going to press this into my pie plate. Once I have this in my pie plate, I will be back. All right, so I got my pie crust all ready to go. The recipe did say to stick this in the refrigerator for 15 minutes to kind of firm it up, and then we're going to bake it for 10 minutes. So I am going to get this in my refrigerator and then into the oven, and then we will start on our filling. Okay, so our pie crust is done. It's cooled. I've baked it. It looks really good. It smells really good. Nice and golden and buttery, and I cannot wait to give this a try just based off of the way this crust smells alone. We are going to let this cool a little bit. While this is cooling, I am going to get started on the filling for our pie. Okay, so in here I have the cream cheese, the peanut butter, and powdered sugar. We are going to beat this together till it is well blended and smooth. And then we are going to uh, beat the whipping cream and vanilla together. Once I have all that done, I will show you guys what it looks like. All right, so here is our peanut butter mixture. Once again, this was the cream cheese, the powdered sugar, and the peanut butter. That is all mixed together nice and smooth. It looks really good. In here, I've beat up the whipping cream with the vanilla. We are going to add the whipped cream to the peanut butter cream cheese mixture and beat that together on low, and then put that in our pie crust. Once I have that ready, I will be back. All right, so I've got my filling in my pie crust. I am wondering if I should have baked my pie crust a little bit longer. It was a little bit crumbly yet, but it'll be fine. We'll still eat it anyway. This is looking really good. Actually tastes really good too. I do have to admit, I did like the beaters like a little kid. But the filling was really good. I'm going to put this in my refrigerator while I start the whipped cream for this. It does have to sit like 3 hours before serving. I'm not gonna wait the 3 hours before putting the whipped cream on top of this. It'll still be fine. Um, but I do want to get this into the refrigerator while I'm making that. Um, so once I have that done, we will get started with our marshmallow whipped cream. All right, to start the marshmallow whipped cream, I've got the remaining whipping cream and the remaining powdered sugar in the bowl. Here, we are going to beat that. I am using the same bowl that I used for the whipped cream for the pie. just because it's still whipped cream. There wasn't, other than the vanilla, there wasn't anything added to the whipped cream in the pie. Um, so I'm just going to reuse the same bowl here. Let's clean up later. Once I have this beaten to soft peaks, we are going to add the marshmallow fluff and beat it some more. Once am ready to add the marshmallow fluff into this, I will be back. All right, so I've got that beaten up. I'm going to add in the marshmallow fluff, and we are going to beat that until there are stiff peaks. Once I have that done, I will show you guys what this looks like. All right, so I have the whipped cream done. I do have some left in my bowl here, and I am feeling rather ambitious today. So I am actually going to pipe the whipped cream on to the pie like it says to do in the book. So I do have a pastry bag filled with some of the whipped cream. I'm going to get this on to the pie and then cut up the moon pies and place them on the pie as well. And once I have everything finished, I will show you guys the finished product, and hopefully this doesn't look too bad. I am not really good with pastry bags. I remember using them a little bit as a kid when my mom would decorate cakes, but I have not done anything with a pastry bag since then. So it has probably been about 30 years since I've used a pastry bag, but fingers crossed, and it will give me something to work on if this does not turn out well. But you know, practice, I guess. So I'm going to get started on this, and once I am finished, we will be back. All right, so I have my pie finished. I got the whipped cream piped on. I didn't have quite enough to completely fill the pie, but it still looks really good. I put the moon pie, cut moon pies on there. This was one regular full-size moon pie that I cut in to eighths and kind of pressed into the whipped cream, and then I did dust it with some cocoa powder, and I think it looks really good. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but for me, having it decorated the way that it is, with this being the first time I've used a piping bag as an adult, I thought it turned out looking really nice. I'm going to put this back in the fridge and let it finish chilling for a little bit. And um, after it has set for another couple hours, I am going to give it a try, and I will be back with my final thoughts. All right, so I am back with my final thoughts on the peanut butter pie from the Waitress Cookbook. It turned out really good. It actually turned out a lot prettier than I was expecting it to. I'm really not that good with piping bags and everything, but this did turn out very nice looking. Um, it tasted really good. It wasn't quite set when we had it, but it was still good. Um, I do recommend making it if you had this cookbook. Um, And I do recommend actually taking the time to pipe on the whipped cream like it says, especially if you are using the moon pies as a garnish. You could probably get by with just spreading the whipped cream on top if you're not using the moon pies, but it presentation wise was really nice with it piped on there and the moon pies and like the dusting of cocoa, or you could dust it with like some chocolate shavings. I think that's what it recommended in the book, but I just used cocoa instead. Um, with that said, it's probably not something I'm going to be making all the time or make frequently. Um, We do have other peanut butter pies that we make um, that are a lot simpler and are still really good. And those are kind of our fallback pies. Um, this one was more steps than we usually use when we make a peanut butter pie here. And that is really the only reason I probably wouldn't make this a lot. It did use a fair amount of whipping cream as well, which is kind of another downfall to it. Whipping cream can be kind of pricey depending on what you get and everything. But if you have a lot of whipping cream in your house that you're looking to use up, this is definitely a good recipe to use for it. Because like I said, it did turn out really good. It wasn't hard to make. It was a lot simpler than what I was expecting it to be, but just more steps than what we normally do for our peanut butter pies. I did share one of the other peanut butter pies that we typically make a couple months ago from the Gilligan's Island cookbook, the Rudder peanut butter pie. So if you are curious about that, please check out that video. Um, I will link it in the description box if you guys haven't seen that one yet and are curious about a simpler peanut butter pie. Um, but overall, I was very happy with this pie. I think um, I was happier more presentation wise than I was like overall, just because I was extremely pleased with the way it looked and everything. But like I said, it still tasted good and still definitely recommend um making this if you have this cookbook. Um, and if you do have this cookbook and have made this pie, please let me know how you liked it down in the comments below. Um, Next week, I will be back with the Dutch apple cake from baking yesteryear. Um, the following week, I am probably going to be taking another little break from baking yesteryear and making a different recipe and everything, but we'll get there in a couple weeks. Please like this video if you liked it. Please share it. Please make sure you're subscribed. And until next time, good times, good food. Bye.